Hello and welcome to Healing Pathways. My name is Corey Newlieb from Pathway Light by Corey, and it is my goal for this podcast to introduce as many modes, methods, and mediums of spiritual healing as possible to help you along your journey in this incarnation. As a general disclosure, no one in this podcast today is a medical, legal, or financial advisor. Any advice given should not be taken as medical, legal, or financial advice. Today, I have human design expert Kate here to talk about how you can utilize human design on your spiritual healing journey. So, hello, Kate. How are you doing? I'm super happy to have you here.
Hello, hello. I'm doing wonderful. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I didn't know a better person to really ask about human design. This is an episode that I've wanted to cover for a while. It was within my initial setup plans when I was setting up this podcast. I knew it was a topic that I wanted to have covered, but initially I wasn't sure who I wanted to have. And I think at that point, when this was all just a concept, I didn't even know about your existence because I've been thinking about healing pathways for well over a couple of years now. And I've only just now this year put it into effect. So I'm very happy that it just has kind of aligned and I now have you here to talk about it because you have a lot of experience in human design. But before we go into really the healing powers of it, I really wanted to start out with what is human design? Like what are our foundations? If nobody has heard of human design, how would you describe human design to somebody?
Yeah, so human design to me, getting started into it was like the missing key I was like been looking for in regards to like a healing dynamic when it comes to like our spiritual journey. The best way to kind of really define human design is it's just a really good collaboration forming like this body graph that really just what they like to call reflecting one's energetic blueprint, right? So we have the combination of astrology, we have the I Ching, we have the Kabbalah, and we have the chakras. And probably my most favorite part about it is putting into the quantum physics with it. So it's just like this overall modality that you can kind of figure out where your specific type and energy just interacts with the world in order to really just become aligned with yourself physically and energetically.
I love that. And one of the things that I love about it too, because I've done very basic minimal research. I am by no means an expert, y'all. If you're listening to this and you're hearing me talk about it, I brought on an expert because I'm not one. I'm an expert in astrology. And what I do know is that astrology and human design tie in very closely to each other, just like you said, the I Ching, the chakras, quantum physics, everything goes into human design, but I know that astrology is a huge piece of it as well. So I know that when it comes to human design, it can be extremely enlightening and it can really help you understand your energetic flow. And this is a conversation that we were actually just having previous to this was oftentimes if you're going against your human design, your energetic flow will be off until you correct that. So that's why human design it is beyond astrology or beyond just the I Ching or beyond just the Kabbalah or just the chakra system or just quantum physics. It's really a blend of them all, at least from my understanding, which is what makes it very unique.
Yes, absolutely. It's like looking at the body graph when it combines all of these things, it can definitely look scary. And for whatever reason, I have to give you big kudos onto the astrology part of it because I really truly started doing my deep dives with the astrology charts and it was just not clicking for me. I tried very hard. But with for whatever reason with human design, it just clicked and now I could kind of see and figure out like whoa, like these charts are actually, to me, what it looked like was like a light circuit, right? So it's like you have certain interactions with people or even environments that will ignite part of this light circuit in you. And then you have other parts that will turn it off or essentially just like not allow you to really plug in where you need to plug in. So it's kind of like once you kind of figure out your own energetic equation, now you can kind of start using it to experiment with the people around you, the relationships you create, or even just like the projects you want to start, or, even just more of understanding what you're supposed to do on this, journey of life. Human design is really, really helpful of kind of bringing more awareness into that for you, which is what I love so much about it.
It is one of the more powerful techniques, I'm not going to lie, more powerful spiritual techniques that I've encountered just based off of its accuracy. Astrology is accurate, and I would say human design is just as accurate. I am fairly certain they're on the same level. I just never, like you said, I tried to get into human design and it never clicked with me. But then I started in astrology and I was like, oh my God, this is my path.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, but it's also interesting to see how that also ties into our human design types as well. Me being a projector, I do know that my energy is a lot more focused, a lot more dead set into one thing, dead set into understanding the depths of one thing. And it's interesting to see how I click in more with the astrology and really zoning in on astrology, whereas human design is kind of a mixture of a bunch of different things. And if I'm understanding your design, correctly, the manifesting generator, there's a lot of different things that are involved and a lot of different avenues that you have to look down in order to understand human design. So it's a little bit more versatile as compared to diving deep down into one rabbit hole of astrology, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely makes sense. Because as a manifesting generator, I thought, for a while, I was like, this is just absolutely me being like a sporadic ADHD person that just cannot set their mind to one thing. Like I always, before human design, I always looked at this as like, this is just so wrong. Like being a jack of all trades is not ideal, because it's like, well, if I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to be changing my website like, twice a month or, things like that. But now really understanding like my specific type in human design of being like, no, my energy is actually meant to be a jack of all trades. And that is actually a gift. And that's like what I've chosen to be in this world because, now I can jump through different projects and this behavior actually benefits me, because then when I kind of create this like organization and I'm combining different aura types within my ideas, it's like it can take off exponentially because now, like with you as a projector, I have my guide, I have my advisor. You can look over the whole thing and you are just inherently in tune with the needs and the wants of the whole project. Providing my generators, they're the builders. So I could just hand them that baton and they're going to take off running with it. And again, like with our manifestors, those are the initiators. Like they could literally just drop a seed and walk away, but that seed has so much just like benefit and quality that could really and truly just produce like really big, like upfront, forefront projects.
Like Jack and the Beanstalk energy. Like he threw the bean out the
Yes.
window and upsprung that giant stalk.
Absolutely. That's absolutely what it is. Yes.
That's very interesting too, because if we use that same analogy, from my understanding, so there are several different types of human design types. So you have your projectors, as you were
Yes.
just going through, you have projectors, generators, manifestors, manifesting generators, and then reflectors.
Yes.
And if we were to use that Jack and the Beanstalk kind of analogy, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would almost put it as the manifestor is the person who just kind of throws the bean out the window. The generator is the one who hikes up the giant stock once it sees that it's there. The
Yes.
projector is the one that is saying, I don't know if you should do that because we don't know what's at the top of that thing. And then the reflector is the one that's at the top of the thing going, see, now you're up here. What are you going to
Yes.
do?
That's like the perfect analogy. So the really and truly the best analogy I love to give people in that way is like literally like planting that seed, right? That beanstalk, because again, the manifestors, like you said, they're the bean. Generators are the soil, right? They're providing like that nutrient growth for the roots. So
Okay.
they can really, like you said, get that stock going, right? Manifesting generators are the water. So they're providing the nutrient in that way too, right? Like they're very versatile. They're very like characteristic. So providing like the water again for nutrient that seed, it's like literally that manifestor drops it, a generator and a manifesting generator are going to do whatever it takes to keep it going. You being a projector, you're the sun. So exactly what you had said, right? Like, I don't think we should do this. I think we need to go this way because, if you keep growing this way, we're going to kind of hit a bump. Whereas, you can do that in the cycle of the sun, but also you're at the top. You see the whole entire perspective of this plant. And then, like you said, the reflectors are at the top. They're observing the entire plant. They're mirroring, they're reflecting the entire plant. So yeah, absolutely. I love my analogies.
Analogies are great. It's
Yes.
how I understand everything. I understand the world through analogies. Um,
Same.
but I guess this kind of points back to everyone's energetic system is different. And I think oftentimes in general society, we try and force people to embody that generator energy where you're just constantly go, 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 going. And understanding my human design is part of what has helped me walk in alignment with what my path should be. I still work that 9 to 5, but within that 9 to 5, I've found a position where I do work, but I do get some breaks in between. I do get moments of reprieve where I can recharge my energy. Being a projector, I don't have that consistent energy available to me, so I do have to find
Right.
moments of reprieve. And we were talking about your environment. Your human design does actually speak to what environment you best are suited in. And this was one of the
Yes.
biggest realizations that we just had, Kate, for me. Because when we did my human design and we looked at everything together, I really truly realized that my office, my creative space, is my human design environment kitchen, right? And I have
Yes.
found my flow best matches that of a kitchen environment. So it's very unique and very powerful thing that it's just so astonishing to see because I didn't even notice that I was working towards that environment until I was already there and then you had brought it up to me.
Yes. Yes. I love that. And I love the fact that you've like literally created this like this this space, right? This creative space where you do all of your work, all of your ideas, and it's literally like laid out kitchen-esque, right? Like it's
Yes.
open, you need the airflow, but everything has its space and its place, right? Like you're not going to find one of your pots and pans in the refrigerator, right? Like you have all of your refrigerated needs in one space and you have your pots and pans in the other. That way you are creating this like dynamic place where everything has its place in order to create this life form that you're about to create, right? Like cooking in a
Yes.
kitchen. So yeah, I absolutely love learning about the environments in that way too. It's so cool.
It's very cool. It's very cool. But all of this just speaks to the healing power, right? Because I feel like a lot of people are kind of boxed in to, oh, you should exist this way. You should work a nine
Right,
to five. You should be able to work 12 hours a day. You should come home and then cook. You should be able to have a kitchen that is constantly clean and organized. And that's just not
right.
how it works.
Yes.
It you really need to live within your energetic embodiment. You really need to live within your human design. So can you tell us a little bit more about like where does human design come from? Like can you give us like a brief history of human design? Because I feel like it's something that is resurged like in the past like 5 or 10 years. Like I feel like it's gotten a really big resurgence where you just see more and more people learning about human design.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So the creator of human design really didn't start publishing like his findings until about like 1992, 93. So I would definitely say it is still pretty baby. Like I have done like my rabbit hole of things and still have yet to find certain particular things to learn or use human design that I really feel like is coming into fruition now, which I love. But yeah, the creator, he later took the name Ra Uru. His original name was Alan Krakower. I hope I'm saying that right. But he basically during the big supernova, the death of the star, the supernova era was around the time that he had a calling. He called this entity as like the voice, and basically this calling delivered the entire system of human design, where he just like wrote down all of the principles in the system. And he was commonly known as, like, he just wanted to be known as like the messenger. I'm just the messenger of the system, right? So by getting like this download, this delivery, it was really just like inspiring, just the fact that he was able to include just a wide variety of similar traditions, like the astrology, and then the Kabbalah, the tree of life, and then using the I Ching is just also just like another big play on using this whole human design system of genetics and physics. So to me, I don't even think, you know, with you being a 1-3, right, in the profile, which I know we'll talk about later, but this is like a really good confirmation that somebody is using sciences, somebody's using like other systems that have already been made, and having a spiritual mystic download to combine it all, and literally to read your own design. It's like I'm reading your book. That's how I took it when I had my first human design reading. I'm like, you're literally reading my life right now.
Yeah.
And the fact that this person was using all of these scientific and, like these systems essentially, and had this spiritual download to put it together, it's just all confirmation for me in the spiritual form, in the spiritual world, of why we need these things to heal, and
Yes.
why we are on this spiritual journey to essentially find what we need to do in order to heal and get to a higher vibration.
Yeah. And I am also a firm believer that every piece of divination, every piece of self awareness practice, whether it be astrology, whether it be human design, whatever it is, right? I'm a firm believer that it's all piece of a much larger puzzle. We all have a small sliver of a much larger puzzle. Even astrology, there are like hundreds of different types of astrology. There's Indian astrology, there's Arabic astrology, there's Chinese astrology, there is Western Hellenistic astrology, there's queer astrology, there is hundreds of different forms of astrology out there, but it's all just pieces of the grander puzzle. It's all a different perspective
Yes.
of the bigger picture. And I feel like human design is just a cue in to how all those pieces can start to fit together. It's obviously not the grand solution to everything, but it's a start. It's a cue to how all of these pieces do actually start to layer together to make you at the end of the day.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
So human design is really, like, at the end of the day, about self-awareness. It's about how are you going to be aware of your power, be aware of your energy. I love how you brought up like the energy circuit, the electric circuit within you, because I never saw that before. And if you look up your human design somewhere and you pull up your chart somewhere, and then you think about, oh, those are just electric circuits, it actually makes sense. It starts to make more sense in your brain, rather than just seeing these colors of lines everywhere. You start to understand, oh, those are electric energy circuits within me that then become
Yes.
activated by the people around me too.
Yes. Yes.
So it's powerful, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Which is super cool, right? So like, for example, you have the authority of the emotional solar plexus, right? So you have your emotional solar plexus in your chart defined, whereas I am a sacral. So I have my emotional open, it's undefined. My whole entire house, everybody living in my house is emotional. So very much I have to bring awareness to that because I will amplify those emotions, right? Because it's open. So I
Yeah.
can take on my house emotions if I don't take the time to be present and to actually sit with what are my emotions and whose emotions am I carrying.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it can be extremely enlightening to learn what centers are defined versus undefined and how you can work with them because it's really not just about you. It's also about how you engage in your environment. It's really about
Yes.
your day-to-day living. It's about literally the design of your humanality. It's about taking your human nature and creating a design and understanding it and understanding how you can walk within that design.
Yes.
And it can be powerful. And like I said, I'm not an expert. I haven't like by no means am I every single day looking at my human design chart, but when I do look at it, I always have a profound realization of, oh my God, that's why. And oh my God, this is why.
Yes, yes. And just like you said, like the environment aspect of it too with our healing, right? So I literally posted this yesterday, but if you think about like an orange or like a bag of oranges and how like that green fuzzy will be on one orange and then like probably not even a day, the whole entire bag's infected, right? So it's like
Yeah.
thinking about that of like where you're placing yourself in your environment and how your healing aspect or how anything in regards to how you're trying to heal. Okay, so we figured out the internal, right? Like, but now, like, let's look at the environment. Like, is there some, do we need to look at the feng shui? Do we need to look at the way that your light circuit is either, dimming due to your environment? Or is there other areas where you are brightened and you feel enlightened in these particular environments? So that's
Yeah.
your environment is so big on your health, I believe.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. I
Mhm.
feel like understanding your authentic self within your environment is also an equally large piece. So it's
Yes.
not just about your environment, it's about understanding yourself. And one of the things is how you engage with your environment can be found within your profile, right? So can you give us a little bit of information about profile and what profile lines are?
Yeah. So your profile, if you notice, everyone kind of has like what looks like a fraction when it comes to your profile. So there's 6 lines, and everybody will come with a number from your unconscious side and then a number from your conscious. So actually, that first number that you have in your profile, that is your conscious number from your sun gate. Again, just like astrology, your sun gate is going to be your personality gate within your human design. So if you match it up with your astrology, your conscious sun gate will be the same sign of your sun sign in astrology. That decimal point after it, those are where your profile lines come from. So your profile will represent that line from your conscious and then that line from your unconscious. So interesting enough, some people may look at their profiles and see like, okay, it's very much opposite of each other, right? So for example, Corey, you are a 1-3. They call this the investigator martyr, right? You're supposed to live your life of doing your full investigations, your deep dives. You want the research. On the other side of it, you are learning and experiencing and gaining your wisdom through trial and error. Another example, mine being a 2-4. A 2 is the hermit. We are very much in our space of gaining insight and wisdom in our isolation mode, but we thrive and we find the magic form of it when we put ourselves into the opportunists, into the socialist group. So it is very yin and yang. It's all about balance, right? So you having just this foundation of what you research and what you feel like you've given yourself knowledge in that form, and then learning through your experiences is how you kind of gain this balance of like ultimate wisdom for your personality, for your profile.
That's just it's amazing. It's amazing to me because my whole life has been that way. It's like I have a foundation of something, and then the experience happens. And it's
Yes.
funny that you say that because I mean even astrology, right? Astrology, when we're looking at the study of astrology, about 40% of when you're learning astrology, 40% of it is book work and like doing the actual studying. 60% of learning astrology then becomes experience, like putting it into practice, looking at the actual transits in the sky, looking at actual charts, not
Yes.
doing the book work. So it's funny that you say that because even in like what I've dedicated my life's work to with astrology, I start out with that foundation, that one investigator line, and then my learning comes from that three experience, that three martyr, the one who needs to put it into practice and learn from the failures.
Yes, yes. And so my 1 3s, I love reading charts for people, especially who have a 1 3 or a 3 in general in their chart, right? Because that 3 is that big trial and error. So someone could have like that 3 5 too, right? Where they learn through trial and error and then they stand on what they learned through that trial and error. And a lot of people think that like they've just made all these mistakes in life, or that like even the fact of parents not understanding having a 3 child that they're raising, it's like they don't ever want their children to fail, right? So it's just
Right.
pressure, pressure, pressure on these threes. And I love bringing the chart to them to show them like you were designed this way.
Yeah.
There's no other way around it. Like, embrace it and be
Yes.
okay with it. And your failure is not failure, it's wisdom, it's insight. And so, again, it's like this. If I can give anybody a piece of their human design chart, that's what I want to give them, is just show them something that they've been told is so wrong about them all their life, when in reality, it's like, no, this is a gift. Let's
Yeah.
use it as a gift, and let's use it as your healing journey too.
Yeah. And that is, for me, the biggest healing factor of human design is
Yes.
understanding that you do not subscribe to the boxes that society has attempted to place upon you, right?
Yes.
You subscribe to your human design. And once you learn your human design and get in alignment with it and walk with it, and I'm still doing this every day, I'm sure you are,
Me
Kate, as
too. Yeah.
well. Like, it's not something where you're like, oh, I know my human design, boom, I'm fixed. It
I'm
does
perfect.
not work like that.
Right. Exactly.
It's definitely a development process. And I created this episode, or I wanted to create this episode as a way to introduce this process because it is huge. It's a giant concept. I mean, if you start to look at human design, you immediately become overwhelmed. I'm not going to lie. And I guess that's one of people's biggest hesitations or fears going into human design is how do you cope with the massive amounts of information that's being thrown at you? And I guess that's my question
Yeah.
for you is how does someone start to look into human design and not become overwhelmed? Because I don't even know how to answer that.
So I always tell people, if you want to look into your human design and just keep it on the surface, right? Because it's like a big iceberg. Like, you have your surface and then you look under and it's just like an even bigger iceberg down there, right? But to really just get onto the basics of human design, which will ultimately bring so much insight for people too, is look at your type and really just understand your type, understand your aura for yourself, but also understand your aura as to why, or gain more of an understanding as to like the interactions that you have with people. The other one, which they call like the meat and potatoes of human design, is your strategy and your authority. If you can start by just experimenting with your strategy and your authority, and that would be for you, Corey, like your emotional authority. And then
Okay.
your strategy as a projector is to, again, what human design says, but I changed the language, is wait for the invitation. Projectors are here to wait to feel that value. If you feel that value for that invitation, that's when you feel that you can provide your insight and really provide clarity for people in this environment.
Yeah.
So that is where I like to tell people to start off with, is start experimenting with your strategy and authority and really look into your specific type.
Okay. All right, and that is a really, really, really great start. In general, that's where I started. So I feel like in general, that's just like a general good place, right?
Yes.
Understanding the core pieces, and then after that, if you want to learn more, absolutely start looking into gates, start looking into, channels, start looking into all of those individual things.
Yes.
It's all beneficial. Like you said, it's an iceberg. Same thing with astrology. It's an iceberg. You have that top layer, but the depths underneath that is so large, it's hard to even fathom. So it can be a lot, but the key point is to understand it's not about you getting overwhelmed. It's about you learning about yourself. And if you feel like you're becoming overwhelmed rather than learning, then pause, take a moment, and understand the concept that you're on before you try working on to the next one. If you're
Yes.
understanding your strategy and you're like, okay, I'm working on my authority, but I'm just becoming overwhelmed. Well, maybe it's time for you to sit more in your strategy. Understand just what you've learned so far, sit more in that. And then you feel
Yes.
confident there, move on to the authority. Right.
Yes, absolutely. Because my ones, anybody that has that one in that profile, I already know you're gonna do your deep dive. Like there's just no way around it. Like you feel that urge and that need to just rabbit hole into things. Absolutely. But again, just like you said, like really and truly just like take your time. Manifesting generators, we like to skip steps. So like you want to get to the very bottom of the iceberg and know everything as fast as you can, right? But again, just like you said, just take your time because literally there probably won't be a day where I'm not on this earth that I'm learning.
Yeah.
Um, so human design is perfect for that, right? There's so much into it. So take it day by day. Like if you can just take one type of thing and experiment with it, that experiment could give it a week, give it a month. But yeah, absolutely just take your time with it.
Yeah, don't try and rush it. Don't try and rush it. There's no rush to it, right? There's no
No,
reason to rush the learning process, especially because again, it's about self-awareness. It's about learning about you so that you can walk in true alignment with you. If you rush that process, you rush the learning process about learning about yourself. What sense does that
exactly.
make?
Exactly.
Don't rush
Absolutely.
learning about yourself.
Exactly. Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the more ethical considerations, right? Because
Hmm.
with it becoming a lot more prominent, with it becoming a lot more, people are doing human design analyses online. You can find it on TikTok, whatnot. One of the things that I like to cover is what can people be aware of to know, okay, maybe this person isn't as ethical, right? Maybe this person isn't somebody who can actually help me walk in my true alignment with things. If they're
Hmm.
saying things like, you can't do this because you're a projector, you can't do this because you're a
Yes.
manifester. That's like that, those have been biggest red flags for me. But what are some other ones? Like what else can people look for?
So one of the big ones that I have noticed online here recently when it comes to human design is that they will use it kind of like a weapon, right? So manifestors, their strategy is to inform, right? They're dropping that seed. They're supposed to inform because especially with the people that they're working around, that information can be so vital. But when it's being used as a weapon, it kind of looks like, well, as a manifester, I'm here to inform you that the way that you're doing this is not correct. And
Mhm.
that's kind of like using your strategy to not bring alignment to you. It's kind of like you're pointing it at everybody else, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, in ways like that, I've noticed like, okay, you're learning this to benefit, to manipulate other people. And those are the type of things that I would say human design is like, okay, it's good that you're learning that you need to inform, but you need to do it for yourself.
yeah, and walk with it for your own alignment. And I think that's the
Yes.
biggest key. And it's something that has come up in past episodes. It's really about, the intention. Is the person using this as an actual form of growth, or are they using it as like you said, are they using it as a weapon? Are
Yeah.
they using it as a way to target or exclude people or put themselves on a higher pedestal? Because nothing in spirituality is going to be the end all be all,
Right.
right? Nothing in spirituality, no spiritual practice is going to be the end all be all. But when you have somebody in front of you who makes it the end all be all, and they
Yeah.
make it the, I'm a projector, so I know how to guide you the best. Listen to me.
Yes.
Run.
Yes. Yes.
Run. That person is
Yes.
not someone you need to surround yourself with.
No.
It's just not, it's not healthy. So again,
Yes.
all of these tools that I cover, these should be tools for you to better yourself, for you, not to better yourself to put you on a higher pedestal, not to better yourself so you can say, I'm better than this person, or I'm better than you because I'm doing this. That's the equivalent to saying I'm better than you because I'm going to counseling.
Yes.
No, that
Yeah.
it does not work that way.
Right. Right. And then again too, it's like if you feel the need and then the necessity to let someone know, well, I learned that I am this way because of this way, right? Like I I've seen a lot of people, they learn like, oh, that's why I'm this way. And then now that's the weapon they pull out real quick for an excuse or just a way to halt any type of clarity, right?
Yeah.
So like, well, I'm sorry I didn't understand you because I'm a manifesting generator. I have so much on my plate and things like that. It's like learn it for your benefit, learn it to grow for you and to bring awareness, like you said, awareness, whereas you're not using it as an excuse that, well, I am just that I'm just this way.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then I think the only other piece that I would say to, like, if you're looking to see whether or not somebody is ethical, or things to consider when picking a human design analyst, if
Yes.
whether you choose Kate or whatever, whoever you choose, just there are a few things to be mindful of, like I said, or like we've talked about, making sure they're not using it as a weapon, they're not using it as an excuse, but
Yes.
also they're gaining consent, because at the end of the day,
Yes.
your chart is an energetic map for you, right?
Yes.
And if somebody is giving you information on your chart without your consent, that is an unethical practice, right? So if you're going through a hard practice, and this is something that I implement in astrology as well, or all of my mentees in astrology learn this too, if somebody is coming to you and they're saying, I'm having a really hard time with this, and that there is human design or astrological backing to why this is happening or how they could work with it, the first
Yes.
question should be, are you open to this information? Can I give this to you? Right? Can I
Correct.
provide you this information? If they immediately start, it's because you're a man, it's because you're a projector, and you're not living within your alignment because you're being bitter, right?
Yes.
That was not a consensual reading. That
No.
was not a consensual access to my energy. That is not somebody that ethically I wish to work with. So
Absolutely.
if they're not asking for consent, that's a big thing.
And again, too, like, human design, for me, it's, still fairly new, right? So there are people out there who are very within human design are very big on pushing, I'm certified in this, or I've taken courses in this, right? Which is all amazing and great. They've done, their learnings and their teachings and stuff like that. Whereas you kind of want to just find this discernment of whoever you are searching for within your human design, that they are, again, like you said, it's the permission, you have granted them this access to this, but also in a sense you feel like you are being guided, right? Like these are tools, the people behind it are your tour guides, and you feel comfortable and safe enough that they are showing you the route that you ultimately have your own feet and step to take,
Yes.
and that they are simply there to provide you insight, and they're not there to drill your path that you have to take, and that's the only path you can take, right? It's all experimental, and that person should absolutely just be guiding you, and they're not pushing you, and they're not telling
Yeah.
your feet where to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it is, kind of a baby practice. It was,
Yes.
invented in the past 30 or so years. So people are still learning about it. So anybody who says, absolutely, this is dead set in stone this way, I would be cautious of them. I wouldn't say they're
Correct.
unethical. I would say be cautious, right? Just because
Yes.
they may not be taking considerations that should be taken into account. But I mean, the same goes for an astrologer too. You know, astrology is constantly evolving. The Venus star point was only introduced back in 2006.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, there's developing concepts, right? So even within, you know, the Venus star point, within human design, everything that we say is a developing concept. Everything that we're
Right.
talking about is developing. 30, 50, 60 years from now, we don't know if there's maybe another type of human design out there that hasn't been introduced into the fold yet.
Absolutely.
There's many different considerations, and it's an evolving practice. So that's the thing. If you're looking for somebody ethical, look for somebody who understands that it's an evolving practice and is willing to evolve with the practice too.
Yes. Yes. 10,000%.
So it's a huge thing. So with that being said, what if somebody is interested in learning about their human design, if they want to gain insight into who they are, how they can work with their energy, work with their path, how would you advise they get started? What are some free resources? And then also, where can they find you? Because I want people to, one,
Yeah.
have free resources, but then also have you as a resource if they want to pay for a reading to get to know themselves on a deeper level than what free resources can provide.
Yeah, definitely. So, the two websites that I always like to kind of push people to go to is myhumandesign.com. The lady who runs that one, she does a great breakdown for charts, but also gives you a really good PDF printing option for your chart. It just kind of categorizes everything that you would like to know about your chart. The other chart that I or website I like for charts is Humdes. It's HUMDES.com. This one is run by the what is it, Jovian Archive.
Yeah.
Um, they do a great rundown of that because they give you like a variety of ways to look at your charts. So that one can really go into like the depths of your chart and kind of look into things. But also like if you wanted to look at a compatibility chart with somebody, or if you wanted to look at your dream chart, which is just a whole other baby in human design. But if anybody is interested, I do have readings on my website. My website is tarotkate.com. You can just look for human design readings. I'm also on Instagram with Tarot Kate and TikTok, Tarot Kate 3. So been doing better about trying to go live and just chat with people about their charts. So I love doing that for them as well. But I do have a lot of new and exciting upcoming things to add to my website now that I feel like I can fully embrace a manifesting generator aura, and just have, all the things that I love to do on my website. So I do have some new fun and exciting stuff coming up too.
Very, very, very exciting. Yeah, definitely. I would advise, if you're interested in learning about your human design and you're looking to pay someone to do your analysis, Kate is definitely somebody you want to go to. We did mine literally right before we started recording this. I haven't had my human design read by someone prior to that. I've done my own research, just on a very base level. But and it just didn't compare to the information that I got from Kate. Just sitting within an hour, just a 1 hour session, I got more information than I've been able to kind of gather on my own for months. So definitely, I would advise, if you're looking to understand your human design more, definitely get in contact with Kate. As always, you can find me at pathwaylightbycorey.com, as well as Pathway Light by Corey across all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much everything. Same thing with YouTube and Spotify. So with that, I don't think I have anything else that I wanted to cover. Did you have any final closing marks or anything like that that you wanted to go over or touch on before we wrapped up?
No, I think this was great. I really appreciate you having me here. Very, very insightful conversation with you as always. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming on. I know I thanked you at the beginning, but truly it was great having you here, and I would not know who else to bring on for human design that's as knowledgeable and can speak as openly on it. So
Thank
um,
you.
thank you for being here, and we'll definitely be working on stuff in the future, hopefully. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, as always, have a great day, month, week, fantastic life. If you never hear from me again or listen to my podcast, if this is your first and last time, I hope you have a fantastic one. And I will see you next time if you choose to listen again. Have a fantastic evening.